Right. So I want to speak about the Britain's red list zones and the double standard I perceive in all of that. So the Euros just finished, right? And Britain, waived concessions to, players coming into their country. I'm not quite sure why that is not the case now. But let's speak about the players and the player unions and what exactly their role is. Because in the end, we talk about football and we love the Premier League, we love the Serie A, we love the German League and the La Liga. But in the end, the global game is a global game, and we have to think about the global game. So 6 clubs in the Premier League compromising the World Cup. I think it is a shame. I think it's atrocious that FIFA, the player union, CAF can sit back and watch that happen. Not because the clubs are at fault, but because they cannot somehow, politically or not politically, pressure the British government to grant those concessions to those players to go into their countries and play. Because in the end, the World Cup is compromised by you not having Nigeria, for example. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Nigeria.
Yeah.
Nigeria play with the core of their team against Liberia here in Lagos. When they travel a couple of days after to play the return leg,
some of them will not be traveling.
They don't play with 8 of those players. Mm-hmm. 8 of those players are the most important players in Nigeria's team. Mm-hmm. If for any reason we drop points in that game, that compromises our World Cup chances.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How that is allowed to happen and how the players have allowed themselves to be a part of that is a travesty, in my opinion. It's unheard of. And that doesn't make sense because you think about the Premier League and you talk about the Premier League as being a league made by foreign exports. The foreign exports make the Premier League. Mm-hmm. How the Premier League clubs and the British government don't see that the same way those players make the Premier League is the same way you need to let them represent their countries. It knocks me for 6. And it doesn't make sense. And I feel like the player union, the way they got interested with the ESL thing. When the ESL thing came up, the football power, the world.
I was just coming to that.
The world went, it was as if they were going to kill. They said for law on the game. The global game. The global game. The grassroots football.
I remember even Sky Sports.
It was easy for them to pressurize the UK government, when the issue of the ESL came up. But when it comes to the national team, I don't know why they couldn't.
The UK government even stepped in and said, they were going to create regulations to make sure that there were no what do you call people that leave the army, deserters. But
they can't do the same for those traveling to the red list country. I just feel it's double standard. There's no two ways, and it's just double standard. And just like you said, footballers, they have a union. The union could have stood up against the Premier League and called the UK government and say that no, these guys they need to represent their national team. Do you know what it means to play for the national team?
So let's leave the UK government, the British government out of it, because in the end, the government's primary responsibility is to protect lives and property, right? So the UK government left out because they're doing their job description. But the Premier League clubs, Liverpool, City, who else? Arsenal, all those clubs. Newcastle, I think Newcastle eventually
refused.
They refused. Tottenham eventually let the players go. Cavani came out and said, he feels that's unfair to not allow him play for his country. Those clubs must realize that the global game is bigger than the Premier League.
Yeah.
The World Cup is the biggest thing in the world.
It is.
If a player that makes the Premier League what it is, David Silva, Thierry Henry, Cristiano Ronaldo, all the best players have been foreign-based players. And those players must surely mean something to their countries. If those players are not allowed at any point in time to represent their country, for whatever reason, and the most flimsy reason, this one, is that you're going to miss 4 games. 4 games in comparison to the World Cup. And more so when you're Liverpool. When you're Liverpool, or you're City, or you're United, or you're Arsenal, you spend all that money to have squad depth to cushion for any effect of losing a key player. So how do you turn around and say, Mo Salah cannot travel? And this is also on play as well. A player like Mo Salah should be able to tell the club, I'm going to play for my country. Mm-hmm. Which is what Cavani said to United. I'm going to play. I don't think
they allowed him.
It didn't go.
No, they later
United at the moment.
They later cancelled the invitation.
The country did him a favor by cancelling the invitation. But if you tell me that Mo Salah is not big enough to say, look, I'm going to play regardless. Like, what are you going to do? Because in the end, FIFA, the rule states that
it's a
clubs
FIFA window.
must allow the players to go play.
So I think, just like you said, it's on the players, to say that I want to play for my national team regardless of whatever happens. And a friend of mine came on my show and was like, what if Mo Salah gets injured playing for Liverpool and misses 4 games? What is Liverpool? What are they going to do?
What if Mo Salah gets injured playing for Liverpool?
What are they going to do?
What happens when he gets injured playing for Liverpool?
It's almost the
Doesn't
same
he
thing.
get injured playing
And
for
just like you
Liverpool?
said, that's why you have enough money to buy enough players to have squad depth, you know. And don't let us forget, Mo Salah is going for the Africa Cup of Nations in January. February.
So what do you do then?
Mane
You
is
can't
going.
stop
What would
Liverpool.
they do? I mean, so it's an excuse that it's not genuine from the Premier League.
It's a bit
to
flimsy.
stop
And I
players.
also feel like FIFA, from a mediation point of view, you know, the British government for the longest time have been trying to lobby to host the World Cup. That's what you're calling that. That's what you're calling that.
I mean, it was just too soft from FIFA.
That's what you're calling
It was
that,
too
that
soft
political
from
favor,
FIFA.
right? And everything in the world is politics. People think about politics as just
Yeah.
being, you know, putting in government.
No.
You know, that's what you're calling that favor. You know, look, you talk to us about hosting the World Cup and on the World Cup is about inclusion. You are excluding.
Yeah,
A couple of
I remember,
important players from
Ross
playing.
said some days ago that it's just double standards. He used the Euros as
Yeah.
an example. And then, of course, when England wanted to host it, of course, all protocols are put aside and, you know,
Yeah.
everything. If our fans were allowed back in the stadium, of course, limited crowd, everything, nothing like red list countries and all that. But all of a sudden, because it's about certain African countries that want to-
South America,
you can't go to Cape
And
Verde.
you can't go to Cape Verde and all that stuff. And guess what? If you've even watched the numbers, some of these countries have lower infection numbers
Yeah.
than European countries. Also, FIFA the clubs FIFA don't realize how much power they have, and maybe they do, but you know they're just they're
playing politics.
They're virtue signaling. FIFA pays an amount of money to the clubs in the World Cup for their players participating in the World
Yeah.
Cup. So money goes back down to the club.
Yeah.
This is where you tell the clubs, look, when that time comes, you will not receive a naira.
One couple like this.
One naira like this, you will not receive it. Because a player like Mo Salah earns his club money when he plays for the World Cup. I think last year, Real Madrid had the most amount of players at the World Cup, 2018. I think Real Madrid had the most amount of players. Real Madrid made, I think, a lot of money. I think something in the region of, you know, maybe £20 million upwards, something like that. That's when you call in that favor and say, look, the World Cup generates money for you even when you're not playing. When you're just at home, you know, doing your mathematics and your business. So how don't you see that? The global game needs the players that need to play. So, in my opinion, you know,
They chicken out.
yeah.
They are
really
just-
chicken
they are
out
just too
because, I mean,
soft. They are just
with
too soft.
the things you're put on the table. I mean, how did FIFA just sit back and let a
The
league,
Premier League,
Yeah.
you know.
one league, almost like put a slap on their
And
face?
I think that
Because
gave the
it's so
Spanish La
insulting
Liga
because
the power to also come out with that. Okay, we don't want our own players to also travel, because I feel that if the Premier League can do that, we can also do that. Even though the Spanish La Liga it's not that strong,
of course they don't like
like the Premier League.
Yeah.
And I feel that will give birth to a lot of and nonsense that football leagues will want to try, you know, with players and with their national team. You know, so they'll probably feel like, oh, since we did this and it was successful, we can also try something else.
We can run it back a second time.
Yeah, and get away and get
Run it
away.
back
So I
second
think
time.
that is where
Right.
Gianni Infantino
Right.
needs to, like, you know, stamp his authority and say that no, we won't allow this to happen. Now, probably
I feel like
sanction
Infantino
those
as a
clubs.
president, you know, I think, you know, he's too interwoven with club football. Like he sees their point a bit too much. You know, Infantino, before he became FIFA president,
So he doesn't want to step
circumstantially,
on toes.
You know, he was literally like, you know, friends with, you know, all the, you know, clubs.
Sure,
there, you know, he was
sure,
always
sure.
in the UEFA draws and all that stuff. He was UEFA secretary. He was very involved. So I think in many ways you have to realize that, look, I'm not part of you guys anymore, or I'm still part of you guys, but I have responsibility to FIFA, which is, you know, the global game. I want to speak to you, Ini, about Ross' complaints about, you know, the logistical setup of the national team, Super Eagles, you know, being lodged in the hotel at the hotel in VI, and they have to train at a slim, have to go through traffic, sit through 2 hours of traffic to get to a training venue. And myself and, you know, a couple of colleagues spoke about this on the radio and the lack of communication. If you're gonna host Super Eagles, which is in Lagos, you're gonna have to make sure that you replicate the serene atmosphere they normally get wherever else they are. You know, for example, in Uyo, when they're in Uyo, the Aquarium Stadium has about 6 pitches, so they can train on the same texture of pitch as the same texture of pitch you're going to play. How is it possible that in 2021, the FA do not realize how important it is to carry the coach along every step of the way in logistics and planning?
politics. It is politics, and it's
It's as
just
simple
sad.
as that.
And I'm sorry, and I'm not saying this because I'm from Akwa Ibom. If you ask Super Eagles people, the players, they'll tell you the best way they want to be is you. And this is something I know from inside information. People have spoken with, but have we not played in Benin? We played in a rice plantation somewhere in Warri. We played everywhere. Every Super Eagles want to play. We played in Kaduna.
Keshi Stadium, Asaba.
We played. Yeah, Sabah. That's the rice plantation. Everywhere.
Right.
And people, the players are just. I don't understand. The players are just. Oh, we're playing for the nation.
Before you get exasperated, this is a popular conversation. Do Super Eagles need a national facility? I don't think they do.
No, I don't think they do. I don't think they do. But it just doesn't make sense. I mean, we live in Lagos and we understand the dynamics of Lagos. If players are in VI, and particularly at the moment, I mean, traffic situation is crazy.
Yeah.
It took me 2 hours to get here. It took me 2 hours to get from Surulere to VI. So if the players are going to go through that on a daily basis for 5 days to prosecute a match, then I'm sorry, Lagos shouldn't be hosting matches.
My question is, why not put them in Sheraton?
It's still the same thing.
I think it's still mostly
the same thing.
It's still the same thing.
Ikorodu is always blocked.
Traffic.
No, Ikorodu is always blocked. Well, how long did it take you from Maryland to Anthony?
It took me almost 1 hour to get out of the mainland. If I go, just 1 hour.
Exactly. So
I think that there's a serious problem to cross from the island to the mainland.
Yeah,
but if you're in Ikeja, you can access Surulere. If you plan everything properly, you can access Surulere.
The funny thing is that you can't plan Lagos traffic.
That much is true. So we don't need a national facility. What I think we need a couple of standardized facilities.
Yeah.
Because in the end, the Super Eagles are a national team, right? And I think that whilst the idea of a national facility is not bad, I think it alienates the warmth of what Super Eagles can bring to a city. I was in.
That's my point. That's why
I feel like if you have in the south, if you have 3 venues that could at short notice host Super Eagles, great. Kwame Stadium, Amesi Amaka. Adoke Masimaka, that could be good as well. In the west here, if you have Lekon Salami or something like that, you have Teslim, won't be bad. In the north, you could have.
But my worry is don't hawk the Super Eagles around. I feel like there was a stadium open yesterday in Ibadan. Lekon Salami Stadium.
Right.
Credit to Sheyi Makinde. But the pitch on the day, absolute shambles.
But they didn't play now.
I think that was the second thing.
But they didn't play now.
Guess what? They played.
Super Eagles played.
No.
The Super Eagles didn't play.
Guess what? The Charles Adazudu was asking questions in that direction.
Charles Adazudu.
And he said, guess what? Guess what the governor said? That the Super Eagles are going to play here sooner than people think.
And that's the politics you're talking about.
That's the politics I'm talking about. So the Super Eagles are being hawked around like.
But that's not the problem.
Who's going to
I thought the NFL president said Lagos is their new home now.
I think anybody that says that loosely, and that's fine. You can say what you want to say. Lagos could be say, it's spiritual home of Super Eagles. If you like
spiritual,
whatever you want to say is fine. What
man.
I think is that I don't think that the team has a problem being moved around.
There's no problem.
Standardize the facilities because I saw Joseph Yobo arguing with some people on the video. That should not happen. To be honest, the moment I saw the video, I thought, was this an old video that happened in a foreign country? Because the guy was Caucasian, right? And I was like, what's happening here? And I realized there was a hotel. I'm like, how does that happen? How do Super Eagles assistant manager get into a very heated back and forth?
What is he even doing there?
What is he doing there?
What is he doing in a conversation with someone? Because, in all honesty, that should be the business. The Super Eagles are just a team.
Yeah.
They have no business with logistics, organization.
That's just to come there and use whatever facility they have on ground.
Football Federation.
Yeah.
It's just like asking the Arsenal players or the Man United players to come and clean the stadium. It's not their job.
Yeah.
But they're being put at arm's length because, I'm sorry, we say this. And when we say it, we look like we get enemies. But there's a lot of incompetence going around the Nigerian Football Federation and the sports circles. I'm sorry. There's a lot of
from the
incompetence.
president down.
I was trying to not let you go there.
No, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. There's a lot of incompetence from the top down. Because If that is not a show of incompetence, what is Joseph Yobo doing talking to someone from a hotel? By right, he shouldn't even be having... The only conversation they should be having is if they are taking pictures. Hey, guy, you're Joseph Yobo, 100 caps for the national team. That's disrespect there.
That looked like an argument, and that wasn't good. That was really, really not good. This is why I think that, and this is just an aside because we're done with the podcast. I feel like the NPFL, the local league here, has to regularize the calendar with, global game. And I'm not one for cliches, but I think we need to get the global game because so 23 players are called to the national team, but the team on this occasion picked 8 players more, so make about 30 players, 31 players. If the league was on and started in September as the rest of the league, or August as the rest of the league started, you have 8 slots possibly, up for grabs, for the home-based players.
Home-based players
that
busy going
eating food.
Olisanda was the best defender for Akwa United. He signed for Orlando Pirates. Charles Ashimene.
No, the manager at Akwa United, I said he's not praying for him to come back to Nigeria.
Okay, of course. Charles Ashimene was the top goal scorer alongside Silas Nwankwo.
Yeah,
just signed for Ferenc in the Portuguese second division.
So you see all these where is Amaju? Because you won't sign for you won't sign for mushroom club.
Mushroom club.
Not the mushroom.
Coconut.
Thanks guys for joining the podcast. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.